India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met with their Australian counterparts, Defence Minister Richard Marles and Foreign Minister Penny Wong, in the 2+2 ministerial dialogue in New Delhi on Monday. Both nations' ministers discussed various issues, including in areas of defence and security, trade and investment, critical minerals, energy, climate change, space, education and people-to-people linkages. In his address, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said both nations are witnessing an upward trajectory across all spheres of bilateral cooperation.
India and Australia are pursuing a comprehensive strategic partnership. Cooperation between our two countries has been consistently deepening as well as diversifying. More so since our inaugural 2+2 ministerial meeting in New Delhi in August 2021. Whether it is defence, trade, education, science and technology, or people-to-people ties, we continue to see an upward trajectory across all spheres of our bilateral cooperation.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said India-Australia bilateral relationship has grown rapidly.
Bilateral relationship has certainly grown rapidly, but that it has larger implications for the region, and a lot of other countries look to us and to our relationship in many ways as a factor of stability and security.
Well, the Indian Foreign Minister also called for building and acted for stability on a daily basis in the Indo-Pacific region.
This has happened at a time when there is increasing uncertainty in the world. We are seeing sharper polarization, deeper stresses. And today, while it is important to ensure that the routine is there for the region to feel safer, so we have to build and we have to act for stability on a daily basis.
Well, Australia's Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister Richard Marles, during his address, recalled the shared past and democratic traditions of both nations.
We are two countries which share history, we share democratic traditions, we share the rule of law, freedom of speech. We share this in a world where our strategic alignment is greater than it has ever been. We share an ocean, and in that sense we are neighbours. And there has never been a more important time for our two countries to be working together, and from our perspective we cannot overstate the importance of this relationship. We really look forward to talking more about that strategic landscape in our meeting today.
Well, Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong in her address said that this is a partnership which is consequential, but it is crucial for our region.
This is a partnership which is consequential for us, but it is crucial for our region. We see India, as central, crucial to the sort of region we continue to work for. Peaceful, stable, prosperous, in which sovereignty is respected.
India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh held bilateral meetings with his Australian counterpart Richard Marles in New Delhi on Monday. Singh said the meeting will provide an opportunity to both the countries to reiterate their resolve to further deepen the defence partnership. Earlier, Australian Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles met with the Indian Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. The leaders also discussed recent developments in the Indo-Pacific region. They also discussed the developments in West Asia.
Excellency, during our earlier discussions, we were able to identify areas and initiatives where our two countries could collaborate. I am happy to note the progress already made in many of these areas. Today's meeting will give us an opportunity to reaffirm our resolve to further deepen our defence partnership.
We want to be working closely together, but we see at the heart of the relationship as being defence. This year has been a year of firsts. We've had so many first steps that have been taken which have built the ballast of our defence relationship, and we are so pleased with that. It's been a high watermark of our defence engagement, and we are very excited about the opportunity of our meeting today to take that forward in the future. We see the defence relationship as critical to the whole bilateral relationship, and we see our relationship with India as being right up there as amongst the most important relationships that we have in the world.
Well, Australia's Deputy Prime Minister and the Defence Minister, Richard Marles, and Australia's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Penny Wong, laid a wreath at the National War Memorial ahead of the 2+2 meetings in New Delhi this morning. The Australian Deputy Prime Minister, Richard Marles, who is also the Australian Defence Minister, was accorded the ceremonial Tri-Service Guard of Honour in Delhi on Monday. He was received by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, and he also met India's Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar in Delhi. Well, as the Israel-Hamas armed conflict enters day 45, Israeli tanks were seen stationed near the Indonesian hospital in North Gaza on Monday, although there was no immediate comments from the military about the situation inside the hospital. Israeli military claims they are targeting terror infrastructure in Gaza and accuse the Hamas of fighting behind human shields, including in hospitals. The Indonesian hospital, set up in 2016, has nearly ceased operations but is still sheltering patients, staff, and displaced residents. Despite the ongoing fighting, US and Israeli officials said a Qatari-mediated deal to free some hostages held in Gaza and pause fighting was edging closer. A first group of premature-born babies who were evacuated from Gaza's largest hospital crossed into Egypt for medical treatment on Monday. Earlier on Sunday, the newborns were admitted to a hospital in Rafah in southern Gaza in order to stabilize their condition ahead of their transfer to Egypt. Rockets from the direction of Lebanon struck the north of Gaza on Monday. Plumes of smoke were seen rising from northern parts of Israel. The violence has been seen as a spillover from Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza. Hezbollah has attacked Israeli troops at the Lebanon border since the armed conflict began on October 7th, and Israel has launched air and artillery strikes against southern Lebanon. A delegation of ministers from the Arab and Muslim countries held a meeting with the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Beijing. They demanded for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The delegation includes ministers from Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, Indonesia, Palestinian-occupied territories, and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Beijing was the first leg of the tour of the delegation, which is scheduled to meet officials representing each of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. Meanwhile, Israel said that Yemen's Houthis had seized a British-owned and Japanese-operated cargo ship in the southern Red Sea. Israel claimed the incident was an Iranian act of terror with consequences for international maritime security. Iran has, however, denied any involvement in the ship's seizure by Yemen's Houthis. Japan has meanwhile strongly condemned the seizure of the cargo ship and said that the government is working with relevant countries for the vessel's early release.
We
have received reports that there are no Japanese nationals among the crew. The government firmly condemns this kind of incident. Currently, ministries and agencies, including the Transport Ministry and the Foreign Ministry, are gathering information and working with the relevant countries for the early release of the vessel and its crew.
While Russia and Ukraine continue to fight one another, the US Secretary of Defense visited Ukraine and reaffirmed his support for it. Ukraine said that a Russian strike on Monday claimed 2 lives. Let's take a look at this report.
In a protracted war between Russia and Ukraine, both countries are adopting new strategies to strengthen their positions. According to Ukrainian authorities, 2 people were killed on Monday in Russian forces shelling, which left 1 injured in the southern city of Kherson. On Sunday, Russian authorities claimed to have struck Ukrainian troops and military equipment in several locations and repelled Ukrainian offensives in the directions of Kupiansk, Krasny, Liman and Donetsk. While in a series of international efforts to support Ukraine, the United States Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin has made an unannounced trip to Ukraine on Monday for a high-level talk. Austin also praised the embassy staff in Kiev for their professional operations during the war.
We've seen courage on the part of the Ukrainian people that has really impressed the world. The message that I bring you today, Mr. President, is that the United States of America is with you. We will remain with you for the long haul. What happens here in Ukraine, that not only matters to Ukraine, but it matters to the rest of the world.
Meanwhile, in another move, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has changed the command of military operations. He has also sacked the commander of the military forces. Ukraine also sacked 2 high-ranking cyber defense officials following a probe into alleged embezzlement. While on the prospect of a European Union ban on imports of Russian diamonds, the Kremlin maintains that sanctions will have a boomerang effect on those who impose them.
Well, still to come on DD India News Hour. Uttarakhand tunnel collapse rescue operation continues with foreign experts visit to the tunnel site. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman inaugurates the World Heritage Week celebrations. Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana, with an aim at reducing the debt of discoms in India, completes 8 years.
Options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights and authentic information.
A platform for the developing world, amplifying the voice of the Global South with a focus on the growing economies, resolving the conflicts, showcasing the culture, tradition, heritage and diversity. Watch Voice of the Global South at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Anil Thomas. Sam Altman, who was fired as the CEO of ChatGPT creator OpenAI, is all set to join rival Microsoft, along with former President Greg Brockman, to lead the new team focused on artificial intelligence. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella announced on social media that Altman will be the CEO of the new advanced AI research team. Over the weekend, OpenAI's board announced the removal of Altman, who co-founded the company in 2015 in an alleged coup. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said his government could turn its attention to cutting tax after a fall in inflation. Rishi Sunak said cutting taxes was the government's top priority, and also clarified that he would not implement the kind of unfunded tax cuts that his predecessor Liz Truss had announced last year. He was speaking ahead of a budget update later this week, when British Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt is expected to announce measures to speed up the country's stagnant economy.
So now you can trust me when I say that we can start to responsibly cut taxes. And we will now move to the next phase of our plan to grow our economy by reducing debt, cutting tax and rewarding hard work, building domestic sustainable energy, backing British business, and delivering world-class education. You can trust me to take the right long-term decisions, and that's how we'll build a brighter future for all our children.
Well, it's been 9 days since 41 workers got trapped after an under-construction tunnel collapsed in India's northern state of Uttarakhand. Efforts to rescue the workers trapped inside the tunnel continued on a war footing on Monday.
On the 9-day efforts to rescue the workers trapped within the Silkyara tunnel in India's northern state of Uttarakhand resumed. Rescuers are exploring 5 new plans to pull out the workers after the vertical drilling was halted due to technical glitch on Sunday evening. The machines developed a snatch and a sudden cracking sound which caused panic. The International Tunneling and Underground Space Association's president Arnold Disk arrived at the location site. Arnold surveyed the collapse site to gather information about the tunnel collapse from every angle.
We're going to get those men out. What I've seen, seriously, what I've seen, there are great works being done. This is going to happen, and look, we're on it, and that's what we're here. And there's a whole team of us here, and we're going to find the solution, and we're going to get them out.
Meanwhile, the government is keeping constant communication and making all efforts to keep up the morale of the laborers trapped in the tunnel portion. A team of psychiatrists have also been sent to boost the morale of the workers. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami has said officials have been asked to stay in touch with the relatives of the trapped workers so that they do not face any inconvenience. And the government will bear the travel, food and lodging expenses of relatives of the 41 trapped workers. Electricity and water are available in this portion of the tunnel, and laborers are provided food items through compressors pipeline. 5 options were decided and 5 different agencies were deployed to carry out the operation.
There is a electricity provision is there in the tunnel, there is a water supply provision is there, and earlier till today we are supplying food and drugs items, medicines to them through a 4-inch pipeline with the help of a compressor. But we have achieved a significant breakthrough where a 6-inch pipeline is also set up, and we are able to successfully drill through the 60-meter muck.
As per the recent update, officials said a 6-inch pipe has been sent to the other side of the rubble, and the trapped workers can hear and experience the movement. Rahul Upadhyay reporting for DD India.
Well, India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman inaugurated the World Heritage Week celebrations of Archaeological Survey of India, that's ASI, at Tamil Nadu's Madurai on Monday. The week-long exhibition is showcasing the history, architecture, iconography and inscriptions of the major rock-cut temples in southern part of India, that's Tamil Nadu. The major attraction on display are the historic architectures of India showcasing the legacy of Indian culture. Well, India is gearing up to celebrate its Constitution Day on November 26 to commemorate the adoption of the Constitution of the country. India's Parliamentary Affairs Ministry has invited citizens to participate in the Constitution quiz and online reading of the preamble. The ministry has also made 2 web portals operational to ensure maximum public participation. When India celebrates 8 years of the Uday or the Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana scheme, which aims at requeuing or rather reducing the deaths of discoms in India and also reduce the cost of electricity throughout the country. Here's a report by DD India correspondent Dibendu Mondal.
Over the last 8 years, the Uday or the Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana launched by the Ministry of Power has been able to turn around several debt-ridden power distribution companies across the country. The state power distribution companies have reported significant improvement in the reduction of losses and improvement in the cost of power distribution. The financial data shows that the state discoms reported a reduction in aggregate technical and commercial losses by 3%. Not just this, it has also reported the reduction of average cost of supply and average revenue realized gap from rupees 0.48 per kilowatt to rupees 0.30 per kilowatt in the financial year of 2020.
Electrified every village, we electrified every hamlet, we connected every home. We connected 29 million homes in 19 months. And the International Energy Agency called it the largest and the fastest expansion of access ever in the world in the history of the power sector. That's what we did. We connected the whole country. We converted our country from power deficit to power surplus.
The scheme, Uday, was launched in November 2015 for operational and financial turnaround of state-owned power distribution companies or the DISCOMs. The scheme aims to reduce the interest burden, reduce the cost of power, reduce power losses in distribution sector, and improve operational efficiencies of the DISCOMs. The scheme has now covered almost all the states and union territories of India, which incentivizes the states by exempting state takeover of DISCOM debts. The scheme also aims to provide increased supply of domestic coal, coal linkage rationalization, liberally allowing coal swaps, allocation of coal linkages to states at notified prices, and an additional or priority funding.
पिछले 8 वर्षों में देश में लगभग 1,70,000 मेगावाट बिजली उत्पादन की क्षमता जोड़ी गई है। वन नेशन वन पावर ग्रिड आज देश की ताकत बन चुका है। पूरे देश को जोड़ने के लिए लगभग 1,70,000 सर्किट किलोमीटर ट्रांसमिशन लाइंस बिछाई गई हैं।
The scheme has an outlay of over rupees 3,000 crore, which will reform and change the face of electricity distribution and DISCOMs in the country over the next few years. Dibyendu Mondal's report for DD India.
Well, the theme of this year's trade fair is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, united by trade, while the theme of the health pavilion is Ayushman Bhava, meaning may you live long. India's Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Mansukh Mandavia, visited the Ayushman Bhava Health Pavilion at India International Trade Fair in New Delhi. While visiting the various stalls showcasing health initiatives and schemes of the government, lauding their efforts to raise awareness amongst the masses. He actively participated in the interactive activities at various health booths. Special awareness of Ayushman Bharat digital mission is conducted for the visitors.
So with this digital health scheme, what the government is doing is they are building a digital health ecosystem for the country. So all the stakeholders in health sector, be it the patients, the doctors or hospitals or even different government health programs, they are joining together, they are connecting on this digital platform to deliver digital services to the patients. So it will make healthcare more accessible to all, more efficient for the country and more valuable for everyone.
ABDM is basically providing a digital platform for all the stakeholders, as earlier said, that where a doctor, a patient, insurance sector also can come, other stakeholders can also come and connect with each other. It is basically the helps in interoperability of the healthcare records.
As the United Arab Emirates prepares to host the upcoming COP28 summit, the nation is spotlighting the progressive environmental efforts with a particular focus on Botanica, the world's largest vertical farm. This revolutionary approach for substantial water savings will reduce the water consumption levels up to 95% compared to traditional outdoor farming, and it will also contribute to a significant reduction of 1,000 megawatts in water production. West Africa's presence shows UAE's dedication towards green initiatives during the upcoming summit. Well, let's take a look at some other stories making news. Indian Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar on Monday inaugurated the Silver Jubilee celebrations of the Santgiri Ashram in New Delhi. Shantigiri Ashram has been active in various fields like spiritual harmony, healthcare, skill training for the last 25 years. Prasar Bharati CEO Gaurav Dwivedi handed over awards to the employees and officers for winning competitions held on the occasion of Hindi Divas. Speaking on the occasion, Prasar Bharati CEO said that the work of language is to bind people and bring them together. Union Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia today visited the health pavilion of the trade fair at Pragati Maidan. The health minister went to the Ayushman Bharat stall of the health pavilion. Several Myanmar refugees who were staying in India's northeastern state of Mizoram are not returning home as they fear attacks in their villages. Thousands of Myanmar people and several soldiers entered India, fleeing an attack by the insurgents on their military base. Well, a massive fire engulfed at least 25 boats in the Indian southern state of Andhra Pradesh in Visakhapatnam. The fire that started with the first boat eventually spread to multiple boats, which led to several damage in the region. Soon the blaze was brought under control. Authorities report that the vessels caught fire, but luckily other boatsmen came and de-anchored that boat and let it off into the sea. Investigations are currently underway. Indian President Draupadi Murmu inaugurated the 36th Annual Conference and Literary Festival of All Indian Santali Writers Associations in Baripada, a city in the Indian state of Odisha. While addressing the literary festival, the Indian President emphasized how Indian literature plays an impactful role in shaping the society. Still to come on DD India News Hour. We'll discuss the issues pertaining to the India-Australia 2+2 ministerial dialogue. Argentinian politics ready for a change. Elect Javier Milei as the first president outside of the traditional parties. Pop star Shakira settles a tax evasion fraud with Spanish authorities. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Anil Thomas. India and Australia hold a second India-Australia 2+2 ministerial dialogue in New Delhi, strengthening ties, Quad and Indo-Pacific vision on the table. Bilateral talks between defence ministers of India and Australia. Both countries reiterate resolve to further deepen defence partnership. 6 Indian players and just 2 Australians feature in the ICC team of the tournament. Rohit Sharma gets the captain's armband. Well, for more on the story, we've got Amritpal Singh, our correspondent, tracking that 2+2 ministerial dialogue, joining us this evening. Amrit, looking at what's on the agenda, especially when it comes to this particular second 2+2 ministerial dialogue.
Well, the entire gamut of relationship, as you know, the relationship is a strategic, comprehensive strategic partnership. And when the two defense ministers and the two foreign ministers meet, they, of course, look at defense. When this afternoon the two defense ministers met one-on-one, they discussed the entire gamut of relationships from the defense part of the relationship, from joint military exercises to increasing the scope of that, to securing the Indo-Pacific, to cooperation and defense technologies, for co-production of defense equipment, procuring raw materials which are especially critical minerals which are very very important for production in India, then transmigration, the Indian skill set, and the Australian technology and the Australian wherewithal. So both sides reaffirmed their commitment and their resolve to take the defense relationship, one in terms of security, the other in terms of increasing military to military exercises, and thirdly, defense production and defense cooperation, make in India, make for the world. As far as the foreign ministers go, they discuss the position on the foreign relations, convergences on that. They will be meeting tomorrow for the 14th foreign ministers ministerial dialogue, and will be taking up all issues related to foreign policy, taking similar positions or convergent positions at multilateral fora, right from the UN to other important fora like Quad, and also exchange notes on the evolving situation between the Hamas and Israel. Of course, this meeting comes, Anil, in the just before the Quad summit that India is going to host in January this year. So two sides would be looking at working out the contours of that Quad summit, and also taking stock of the CECA, or the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement, which both sides would be keen to sign when Prime Minister Anthony Albanese comes calling on Delhi in the last week of January next year. Anil?
Okay, Amrit, there we have seen several firsts, especially when it comes to bilateral defense cooperation between the two nations. Do we see, further concrete steps, in taking that forward?
There were a lot of firsts. If you look at that, the first Indian naval submarine docked in Australia. You have the ongoing Malabar exercises, but you had a greater participation of the Indian Air Force. The Indo-Pacific is a very, very important region, is a very, very important theater for two reasons. One, because of security reasons and the unilateralism or the unilateral domination that a neighbor of India, a northern neighbor of India, is trying to do. Earlier it was India and a few countries in the South China Sea who would complain about that, but now the world increasingly sees that, including the EU, the United States of America, and the Australians themselves, who are an ally of China and have a robust economic partnership with China, Anil. But now they've started voicing that this aggressiveness in the Indo-Pacific theater is detrimental to the interests, both geopolitical and economic interests of the world, because very important sea lanes and trade routes pass through this region. Second is cooperation and developmental initiatives in the Indo-Pacific, because a lot of countries there are small countries which would look to bigger countries, bigger economies, more stronger and resilient economies like Japan, Australia, and India, who are on the three different coordinates of this theater. So I think tomorrow when the two foreign ministers meet, they would be stressing upon how to strengthen the Indo-Pacific, both security-wise and development-wise, in the context of Quad, and also they would be looking at fine-tuning and wrinkling out the ironing out the wrinkles in ACTA, so that CECA can become a reality, and of course take convergent positions on important issues that matter globally, like I said, the Hamas-Israel conflict, and of course the ongoing Ukraine-Russia conflict.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, Amritpal, this evening on News Hour. Moving forward, we've got former senior diplomat also joining us on this story that we're tracking. Anil Kumar Trigunayat joining us this evening. Good evening, sir. Welcome to News Hour. Especially when it comes to the comprehensive economic cooperation agreement or the CECA negotiations, do you see some kind of strong headway that we're going to make in this 2+2 ministerial dialogue?
Well, as you know that what Amritpal gave a complete overview of the gamut of the relationship that we have. As you know, between India and Australia, there are these institutionalized exchanges, and this 2+2 format where defense and foreign ministers are there is only with 4 or 5 countries that we have. With USA, we just recently had it. We have it with Russia, Japan, and now Australia. So in this, that explains that these relationships are extremely important, especially in the defense and security dimensions, apart from the foreign policy and security policies. So this meeting in that sense is quite important. Secondly, as Prime Minister Albanese would be coming to India, there would be certain deliverables that are required. We have been discussing CECA since after signing the Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement, which has shown positive results. For example, the India's trade has gone up by about 32% to 38% to Australia, and Australia's trade with India increased by about 42%. So that means that can be expanded further. Of course, there are certain tricky issues about market access and others that will need to be ironed out, and I guess that this is something that they will be agreeing to it. Secondly, in 2-3 days' time, we also have the G20 virtual summit, in which also the Prime Minister Albanese will participate. And now we're looking at the overall security scenario in the Indo-Pacific collaboration. And as you mentioned, that there are several firsts in our relationship with Australia. And I have seen the way the relationship has transformed, frankly, in the last few years, I would say, which is a remarkable thing. At the same time, if you remember that Prime Minister Albanese was in Beijing recently and had his discussions with the Chinese leadership and trying to mend the offensive. They are the largest trading partner. So I'm quite sure that these leaders from both the defense and the foreign ministers will inform our side exactly about the nature of the discussions and how they're going to impact according to their understanding in the Indo-Pacific. More importantly, the P2P is very important, in which the students and the Indian diaspora, which is there, their welfare is very important. So those issues are also taken up, and Malabar exercises are going on. This time they're being held in Australia. So we also had our submarine for the first time in Perth. So I think that these are some of the indicators which show that there is a very greater and bigger canvas and a deeper partnership and engagement within the compass of our comprehensive strategic partnership that we have with Australia. All these discussions will aim towards that. And of course, they will be talking about the specifics, exactly what is going to come into the Quad format. And we are hosting that meeting in January this year, just before the 26th January.
Ambassador Trigunayat, especially China's increasing belligerence in the Indo-Pacific, is that a matter of joint concern for the two nations, and how do they tackle China?
Well, indeed, there is a concern. But you know that, as I said, that Prime Minister Albanese just went there. He is continuing to have dialogue with the Chinese about the market access issues, about the trade. And also in the Indo-Pacific, I mean, each country has its own position, which wants a free and open Indo-Pacific. That's what India wants. That's what Australia wants. And the Australia and India are maritime linked partners. And that collaboration is very important, for which Indo-Pacific happens to be the territory in which they are going to operate. And therefore, it's important. And likewise, we had just 2+2 discussions with the Americans, and during that also there were discussions that were held, and we have great relations with Japan also. So all these 4 countries and many more who have come out with their Indo-Pacific strategies are concerned about the developments in this. But what we are witnessing is that India, for example, believes in inclusive and resilient
Okay.
Indo-Pacific, free and open Indo-Pacific, and the rule of law and all. So I think the most countries are trying to do that. And if China follows that, then there won't be much problem. But if China tries to do what it has been doing for last few years, then it's going to be a joint trouble.
Okay. One quick word. What could be the expectations that we have from that 14th Foreign Ministerial Framework Dialogue that takes place on Tuesday?
Well, I think that this is the 14th one, as you rightly mentioned. And during this, the whole regional, bilateral, global, all these major issues will be discussed, especially the ongoing conflicts in Israel and Hamas, which is of great importance. Russia, Ukraine, the Australians know our position. And it is also quite possible that because Australia is a part of the Five Eyes, so they have made certain comments about the Canadian situation. I think they would try to discuss that also, and India has its position, which will be conveyed to them.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, Ambassador Anil Kumar Tregunayat, this evening.
Thank you.
On NewsHour. Moving forward, Argentinians celebrated the victory of Libertarian Javier Milei as the new president, winning with nearly 56% votes as against his rival Sergio Massa, who scored 44% of the total votes. Milei has handed over an economy that's battered by triple-digit inflation, looming recession and rising poverty. His election is going to reshape the political and economic roadmap of the South American nation. It could impact trade in grains, lithium and hydrocarbons, as he's opposed to communist nations while favoring strong ties with the United States. Citizens, meanwhile, expressed happiness over Milei's win, hoping he will bring them a turnaround in the country's economic situation. People were enthusiastic over the results, saying they voted for change. Well, time now to take a look at the other stories making news around the world. On Wednesday, U.S. will mark 60 years of former President John F. Kennedy's assassination. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas in 1963. Despite having one of the shortest tenures of any U.S. president, Kennedy changed the office of the U.S. presidency. Colombian pop star Shakira reached a settlement with the prosecutors to avoid a trial in Barcelona after she failed to pay $15.7 million in Spanish income tax between 2012 and 14. As part of the deal, she accepted the charges and a fine of 50% of the amount owed, which is more than $7.6 million. Hundreds of fans from around the world were delighted, rushing into the first Frozen-themed land as the attraction officially opened its gates to public at Hong Kong's Disney Resort. The attractions include a boat ride filled with music and scenes from the movies. Disney's enchanting animated musical Wish commemorates a century of storytelling excellence. The lavish folktale draws from the song When You Wish Upon a Star from the 1940 cartoon film Pinocchio, about a puppet wishing to become a real boy. Well, still to come on DD India NewsHour. 54th International Film Festival of India to recognize the content creators on OTT platforms. Novak Djokovic reveals his target for next year, gunning for all 4 Grand Slams and an Olympic gold medal. Australian Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles plays gully cricket in Delhi after Australia lifts the World Cup.
Turning crisis into opportunity, transforming ideas into action, stories of real change, tales of sustainable solution.
This series is going to tell stories of such change makers.
Watch Change Makers on DD India.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Anil Thomas. The 54th International Film Festival of India kick-started today with a gala opening and red carpet of the opening film in Goa. Stuart Gatt's Catching Dust is the opening film of the festival.
The International Film Festival of India began with a star-studded ceremony at the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Indoor Stadium in Goa. In a significant announcement by India's Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakur at IFFI, the incentive for foreign film production has been enhanced from 30 to 40%. The incentive for foreign film production in the country stands today at 40% of the expenses incurred, with an increased cap limit exceeding 3.5 million and an additional 5% bonus for significant Indian content.
Today I am pleased to announce an increase in the incentive for foreign film production in India. The maximum incentive will now be up to 40% of the expenditure incurred, with a raised limit of rupees 30 crore rupees, exceeding 3.5 million US dollars. $3.5 million US dollar तक आपको इसमें लाभ मिल सकता है, and you can also get additional 5% bonus for significant Indian content. So we are pushing both, making films in India and also pushing the Indian content.
The 54th International Film Festival of India honored the Dhak Dhak girl Madhuri Dixit with special recognition for contribution to Bharatiya Cinema Award.
Thank you very much for this beautiful award, for honoring me. Nearly 38 years in the industry. Wow. And I've got to work with such wonderful directors and wonderful films, with lovely co-actors, जैसे family जैसे बन जाती थी हमेशा shooting के दौरान. And I'm very, very fortunate that I got the right opportunities at the right time.
Union Minister Anurag Singh Thakur earlier inaugurated the Film Bazaar, the largest South Asian film market, at Marriott Resort, Goa. He said that the Film Bazaar is much like a bustling marketplace of ideas, is a heaven for filmmakers, producers and storytellers from all corners of the globe.
The Film Bazaar, like a bustling marketplace of ideas, is a heaven for filmmakers, producers and storytellers from all corners of the globe. It's a confluence of creativity and commerce, ideas and inspirations that form the building blocks of this thriving cinematic marketplace.
Union Minister of State Dr. L. Murugan, who was present at the red carpet of the opening film, felicitated the cast and crew of Catching Dust film. While interacting with press, the crew emphasized that having the film at IFFI's opening film is a great honor.
It means a lot to be here. And for us, my producers Mark and John, it's our international premiere. It's an amazing festival to be at. We're very happy to show our film here. Massively. It's a huge, huge honour, huge honour. I grew up in a part of London where everyone's Indian and it feels like you're there already. So yeah, but being here feels like home, honestly. It really does.
The next 8 days will be an extravaganza of entertainment for the movie buffs. Shama Mishra's report for DD India.
Well, for more on that India International Film Festival, joining us from Goa is our correspondent Shama Mishra. Shama, good evening. How is Goa ready to welcome this global cinema extravaganza differently?
This year, we are understanding that there are 270 movies that would be screened throughout the movie. Film Festival, and there'll be 4 locations where the film festival screening of the movies will take place. This year, in the international section, there are 198 movies, which is 18 more than the 53rd edition. There'll be several international premieres as well. We understand that there'll be 13 international premieres, there'll be Asian premieres, there'll be world premieres, there'll be so many premieres that will take place, and this particular number is rising each year.
Okay, how does the presence of Indian cinema A-listers help this particular film festival?
The very first thing that happens is the media coverage increases, because there's buzz about it everywhere. People know that Madhuri Dixit is coming, there's Sunny Deol who's coming, Karan Johar is coming. There are so many names that people already knew that these people are coming. The biggest name over here we can talk about is the recipient of the Satyajit Ray Lifetime Achievement Award, Hollywood actor and producer Michael Douglas. He'd be coming, and we understand that he'll be coming to receive the award, and also he'll be conducting a masterclass. So we can understand the kind of awareness that is being generated with all these names.
Okay, this 54th IFFI, how does regional cinema, or for that matter, local Goan movies, how do they get a foothold to showcase their talent and cinema?
Here to, celebrating the cultural diversity of India, IFFI has taken out one particular section wherein number of movies in different languages, including Assamese, Bhojpuri, Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, Gujarati, all and many more. These languages movies would be showcased, would be screened from November 22 to November 26th. So this is the period where they will be celebrating the cultural diversity of India.
One final word, give us a sense, especially when it comes to this best web series award that's been put. How many entries have we seen across languages and platforms?
During lockdown, we did see that, a lot of us developed this habit that we would stick to watching the web series, because obviously at that time, no new shoots were happening. We couldn't go to the cinema theaters. So something that we resorted to was watching web series. So at that time also, everyone understood now the next thing in would be web series, and that is how a lot of web series, quality web series, also started coming in. This time around, one new award is being taken out, and we did see that the nominations has also been announced. Panchayat Season 2 that has been nominated. Apart from that, Human, Vipul Shah's Human web series, that is there in the nomination.
Okay, we leave it there. Thank you. Appreciate you joining us, Shama Mishra, live from Goa. Well, moving on, harmony and festivity lit up Colombo as Sri Lanka's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in collaboration with the Indian Commission of India and Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre, orchestrated a vibrant Diwali celebration in Colombo. The event, adorned with mesmerizing dances and cultural performances by students of the Indian Cultural Centre and Foreign Ministry staff, witnessed the gracious presence of the High Commissioner Gopal Bagle and Sri Lanka's Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for sports updates. 6 Indians have been included in the International Cricket Council's team of the tournament for the Men's Cricket World Cup. Australia, who won the World Cup on Sunday, have only 2 players in the 11. Glenn Maxwell, who smashed an unbeaten 201 against Afghanistan, has found a place alongside teammate Adam Zampa. From India, pacer Mohammad Shami, Jasprit Bumrah, Ravindra Jadeja, KL Rahul and Virat Kohli have been added to the list, besides Rohit Sharma, who has been named as the captain of the 11. Quinton de Kock from South Africa, Daryl Mitchell from New Zealand and Dilshan Madhushanka from Sri Lanka are also in the ICC 11. Deputy Prime Minister of Australia Richard Marles joined an impromptu cricket event in Delhi. An exclusive report by our correspondent Narayan Singh.
In a unique blend of politics and a passion for cricket, the Deputy Prime Minister of Australia, Richard Marles, found himself on the lively sidelines of the 2+2 meeting between India and Australia. The venue for this unexpected cricket rendezvous was none other than the iconic Arun Jaitley Stadium in Delhi. He also paid floral tribute to the veteran leader and former Union Minister Arun Jaitley's statue installed at the stadium. On this occasion, the Deputy PM of Australia also stepped onto a makeshift gully cricket field where a group of enthusiastic young cricketers awaited the chance to share a pitch with him. The air buzzed with excitement as the Australian leader showcased his cricketing skills. He praised India for hosting a fantastic World Cup and called Narendra Modi Stadium the new Mecca of world cricket.
India has hosted the most fantastic tournament. And today India is the home of world cricket. The new pilgrimage today is to come to India to see cricket. In the past it was about going to see Lords, now it is about coming right here. From an Australian point of view, we cannot thank India enough for hosting the World Cup, but for all that it does in terms of the promotion of cricket around the world, a sport which both India and Australia hold dear.
The Australian Deputy PM also tasted the street food of Delhi and used digital transaction for payment.
2711. Can you just pay for my
The Arun Jaitley Stadium also witnessed a different kind of camaraderie as executives from the Delhi District Cricket Association and members from the blind cricket team joined the event.
It's a great honor, and first he paid his homage to Mr. Jaitley also. So Mr. Jaitley was here, Sangeeta Jaitley ji, and our President Arun Jaitley along with the executive was here, and we are really happy and we congratulated him also, though it's hard luck for us, but we congratulated them also. They played like champions and they know how to win them.
This impromptu cricket event became a melting point of cultures, echoing the shared love for the sports between the two nations. Narayan Singh's report for DD India, New Delhi.
Well, a ruthless Novak Djokovic trounced home favourite Jannik Sinner in straight sets to win the ATP Finals title for a record 7th time. The world number one there dropping just 2 sets to win that particular game. So a great contest there as Novak Djokovic sets its sight for 2024. All 4 Grand Slams and that Olympic gold medal. Well, that's all in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, also on X and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Anil Thomas. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.